Through her writing, Eleanor Roosevelt opened people's eyes to the importance of women's rights in the early 1900s by holding press conferences for only women reporters. She was born October 11th, 1884, as a shy, awkward child starved for recognition and love. She was Christian Anna Eleanor Roosevelt, but her family called her Eleanor, and she rarely used her real first name. Her constant work made her one of the most loved women of her generation. In 1903, Eleanor and Franklin became engaged. On March 17, 1905, Eleanor married her fifth cousin once removed, Franklin Roosevelt. Eleanor's family was well established and wealthy. Her mother, Anna Hall, was a society belle and expected her daughter, Eleanor Roosevelt, to fit a mold to conform to a conventional pattern. Eleanor Roosevelt developed an inordinate desire for affection and praise in response to her plain looks and lack of manners, due to her mother's disappointment. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the 32nd president. He was in the office between 1933 and 1945 as a Democrat. He was the longest-served president by serving for more than 12 years. He led the United States through the worst depression, where 25% of the workers had lost their jobs, even while he had polio. He called for the people to have faith in America's future. She got involved in social service work, joined the Junior League, and taught in the Rivingstone Street Settlement House. She won fame for her humanitarian work and became a role model for women in politics and public affairs.
We stand today at the threshold of a great event, both in the life of the United Nations and in the life of mankind. This Universal Declaration of Human Rights may well become the international Magna Carta of all men everywhere. We hope its proclamation by the General Assembly will be an event comparable to the proclamation of the Declaration of the Rights of Man by the French people in 1789, the adoption of the Bill of Rights by the people of the United States, and the adoption of comparable declarations at different times in other countries.
At the present time, it is of paramount importance that the women and girls of our country be given training so that they may do their share in the war emergency. How this training is given and who does it is of great interest to us all. To some of us, the National Youth Administration stands out as the agency which is doing the best job along these lines at present. Today, as increasing numbers of men are called to military service, young women must be ready to step into their places without loss of time. Months ago, the National Youth Administration, anticipating that need, began to prepare young women for jobs in war industry. Skilled workmen with long years of experience supervise the work and training of girls in NYA shops. The entire emphasis of the NYA training program is on practical work experience, using modern production methods under the direction of men.
Eleanor Roosevelt traveled to many places and shared many humorous stories between the soldiers.
Run this way. But just as the Marines were ordered to leave Guadalcanal, an officer found a private feeling very sad, looking very depressed, and he said, "What's the matter with you?" And he said, "Oh, I just can't go home. I haven't shot a Jap." And so the officer said, "Well, listen, I'll tell you what to do. You go up to that ridge over there and jump up all of a sudden and say, 'The hell with your Hitos.' And they'll jump up other people all around, and if you shoot first, you'll get a Jap." So he came by a little while later, and the Marine was still looking very gloomy, and he said, "Did you do what I told you to do?" And he said, "Yes, sir, yes. I ran up there, and I did just what you told me to do, and I said, 'To hell with Hirohito,' and they jumped up just as you told me they would, but they all shouted, 'To hell with Roosevelt.'"
Eleanor Roosevelt was the first lady that completely changed the role of it. She would travel and get amendments passed. She left a legacy that many women admire, for she changed many women's rights. If a woman wasn't allowed to do something, she would go to the officials and change their opinions, letting that woman accomplish a task they weren't allowed to do in the beginning.
If we turn away from the needs of others we align ourselves with those forces which are bringing about this suffering and which we must eventually try to defeat. Remember, in this country, the gifts must be based on your ability to give. Nobody but you can be the judge of what you are able to do. But let it be more than...
She is now buried alongside her husband in the rose garden of their estate at Hyde Park. Throughout her life, she made major changes that affected many people. How did she change your life?